All right, hi everybody. Welcome to our SIG Release road mapping session. Today we will be handling the signing artifacts item. There's some notes on what that is throughout this Miro board. I will share the link to the Miro again in case you are showing up now and don't have access to it. Is there anybody here who is using Miro for the very first time? Could you please either raise your hand or say so? And I'll go over some quick steps for you so you can participate. Okay. I guess we have no first timers. All right, that's good. That just helps us go faster. So what we're going to do today is very similar to what we did in our previous road mapping session on the dev RPM's package build for community infrastructure items. We will first just very briefly sketch out some personas so that we know who is served by the release signing work or the artifact signing work. So then once we briefly sketch the persona, which is just going to be a brain dumping exercise so all of you can participate in, we will then move over to this priority matrix box and we will brain dump tasks that we need to complete to make the signing release artifacts item done. And we will align those on this matrix so that we can see which ones are going to be the quick wins, the major efforts that will be big and complex, take a lot of time, fill-ins, which we may not want to do in the end, and then thankless tasks, which might be necessary but aren't particularly fun. And then once we have done that exercise, we will go over here and plot them in order so that you can then come away with a plan of tasks, thinking about which tasks must be done first to unblock subsequent tasks, which tasks involve risks, questions, or blockers that must be dealt with to avoid being stuck. And then, as you can see here, we have deliverables. This means code. I will put code there so it's clear. Docs, communications, just any messaging for the community on your progress or what the thing is, or any information we need to collect as part of the signing release artifacts work. And then any sort of process enhancements or initiations that will be necessary for this work to get done. I'm going to ask, I recycled this board, so use the previous link. So I just covered that. Anybody have any questions?
So I think my main question is, what do we do with items that maybe we still haven't yet fully decided on the road to take? So
they would go under risk, questions, and blockers.
Okay.
And then if you have a sense of how complicated they will be to answer, then for this step, you will dump those questions here and then put them in the appropriate box. So if it's a quick, easy to answer question, but it just has to be asked, hasn't been dealt with yet, you might put under quick wins. And then if it's going to take a lot of conversation, maybe alignment with other SIGs, then it might go under major efforts. But we can come to that later. Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's get started with the first part of our session, and that is defining the user persona. And so the user persona involves an imaginary person who is going to be a beneficiary of this work. So who is the customer? Whose problem are we trying to solve by this work? Now the KEP already had a user story, so I've placed that here, and it's the end user. I would like to be able to verify the Kubernetes release artifacts so that I can mitigate possible resource modifications by the network. So that's a good start. What I would like all of you to do now is put as many ideas as you can think of related to this persona or any other persona that you think also is benefiting from this work in the appropriate box. So if you can imagine the interests of this person who's being served by the work, you would make a post-it. So you go over here, click this icon, doesn't matter what color, just whatever you like, and then put your post-it in that box and say something like wants to save time. Or their interest could be technical. Okay, it's, you know, like they're just interested in some technology. Whatever you think that person who's being served by this work is interested in, you would put it there. And then whatever skills they have, whatever job they may have, or they're interacting with Kubernetes, their personality traits, that could be your personality traits. Maybe you're the end user and you're like, I'm curious, I'm helpful, whatever you think this person's personality traits are. Finally, gains and pains. So what this person wants to gain by your work, and then the pains that are being addressed by your work, you can put those here too. So let's do this until 15 after the hour. So once again, go here, post it, type. There you go.
Lori, what's the description field for? So what kind of description?
I'm sorry, for what?
In the description box, what kind of, in the brief description?
Oh, just what their they're like, that we can use that as actually the summary of the whole persona once it's done. So, but we won't do that today. This will be a follow-up item. So actually, we will make completing this persona a follow-up item. So if you're writing a post-it, let's please wrap that up and we will move on to the next section because that's going to take the most time. Anybody writing a post-it now? It doesn't look like it. All right, let's move on then. So for our next step, hopefully that exercise got you into the mind frame of thinking about the users, the customers of this work. So then for the next step, what we're going to do is think about all of the remaining tasks, whether they're small or they're larger, they're like milestones. Think about everything that we have to do to properly ship this KEP, this signing release artifacts KEP. We have a bunch of notes already posted here. So this is from a doc that many of you have seen. It just answers what is the work, why is it needed? And this list that I'm highlighting, I took from the KEP for various issues and just put them here. And then this box, which I'm highlighting, comes from Adolfo today. So what we want to have is one task per post-it so that we can move them around. So Adolfo, I don't know if you want me to help you, I can help you break these up into post-its. But what we want to have is one task per post-it, and then you can just plot them anywhere in this square.
Okay.
And we will do that for the next 8 minutes. So we'll do until 25 after the hour.
All right. I'll start splitting the list from the bottom up.
Okay, and I will start from the top and I will erase as I go. So everybody, I think some of you don't have access. I'm not sure what's going on. I'll look into that, but I'll fix that. And meanwhile, I will help you, Adolfo, and everybody else. Just please start putting your post-its. There's things we must still do to deliver the KEP. Anybody who requested access to the board, you should be taken care of now. I'm not sure what happens with Miro. This happens sometimes, so sorry about that, but access now.
Lori, I don't know if you did some post-its. I'm almost done with all of them. But I don't see
I did
any.
not, because I
Okay.
was giving people access, so yeah,
right,
you're all
perfect.
good.
Yeah, it's just I'm just have 3 remaining.
Yeah, you're all good.
And should I remove the text box?
Yeah, if you've got everything there, go ahead.
Well, I'll just do it super small so that it doesn't
Yeah.
get in the way. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think take a look at the one I posted and make sure everything from there is, I think so. Everything there, Adolfo? From here?
Yeah, at least
Okay.
yeah from the document.
Okay, so I will remove it then, so. I can put all the post-its over here. Okay, we will stop putting post-its on the board at 25 after. We have a few seconds left to wrap up any post-its that you are working on. Okay, and we are now at 25 after. So what I want the group to do next is for 1 minute, plot those post-its in this priority matrix box where you think they belong. And I think they will need to be a little bit smaller to all fit. So I will do that now. Try to get that out of there. Go here. Size. Large is fine enough. And then this moves everything up there. So let's zoom in and put all of these. Yeah. So quick wins is something that doesn't take much time or effort and produces high impact. Major effort is something that produces high impact, but does take a lot of effort and a lot of time. Fill-ins is again something we may not actually understand the value of and want to get rid of. And thankless tasks has positive impact, but maybe isn't most valuable and isn't most fun.
So one thing I'm afraid of looking at the tasks like this is that maybe some of them lose context and dependency on each other. But
Okay, so we can deal with that when we look at where they're plotted. You can use your best judgment for now. So these markers on the sides are here to guide you. So impact is on the side. These are higher impact. These are lower impact. These are high effort. These are low effort. Okay, we are close to getting everything on this board. We only have 5 more things and it locks us. I'm not sure if that is a typo. What happens?
I think that was the other S1 promoter task. Let me.
Okay. If it's hard to place these last ones in a box, be conservative would be my suggestion and put them in the higher effort or higher impact. Or rather lower impact, but higher effort boxes.
Hmm. So the thing with those is that most are not atomic. So if we have them, let me think.
If they're not atomic, that suggests higher complexity. So that would move them closer to the major efforts box.
Okay. This, I think they should be seen more like a cluster.
Yeah, speaking of which, if you do see duplicates or related items, now would be the next step to actually cluster those items together. So now that we have them all in this map, if you want to move like items next to each other, we will group them. And that's an invitation for the whole group to do that. Are these separate, like the ones I'm moving right now?
Yeah. So the thing with those is that they are related tasks to one another. So if you don't do any of those, then the others do not make any sense.
Okay. So we will get to sequencing in the next and final step. But for now, is it fine that I've moved these apart from this other cluster here, which seem to be really close together?
Mhm.
Or
So
do they belong?
Can I add another post-it with a
Oh, yeah.
task that maybe so that
Yeah.
maybe competing a competing effort with one of these? So
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, whatever you need to do. I would just like to move on to actually looking at the post-its with the group. Yeah, there you go. It's done. Where's it gonna land? Okay, there. All right. Let's look at what we've plotted here. So this item is on the boundary of fill in and thankless task. Could we drop it? Does it have to be done at all? What
that's
terrible things happen if we don't do it?
that's an alternative to the one I just put down there. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
one of those two.
Okay. So let's go and take a look at that one. So this is high impact and a quick win. So why wouldn't we do this if it's high impact and a quick win? And do this instead, which is going to have low impact. Wouldn't we just do this?
I guess it depends on. I mean, it's one of the approaches we haven't yet discussed about which road we want to take on that one. So I mean, this could point in the direction we want to take.
Oh, okay.
But
So this is unresolved, whether the group does this or not.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know, at least in my head, but I don't know in the others.
Okay. Does anybody here think this is already decided?
I've not heard a decision on it yet earlier, but as I saw it, I realized why not? Right? Indeed, it's a big quick win, and as cosine is really changing a lot still, because it from what I see there are quite a lot of releases following each other. It might even help to make sure that you don't have to change a lot in Krell or in the SDK. So maintainability wise, it might also be beneficial to just use vanilla cosine. But
I mean,
that's just the point of view.
I'm still convinced that we need to build some signing infrastructure, but not at that point in the release process, but we have to consider it in later in the release process. So especially if we're considering things like using the promoter to promote the files later in the road, that's where we would want to have our signing infrastructure. But then if we want to just tick the boxes to get the KEP done, we could do it because early we wanted to build signing inside of Krell, but then after some considerations, we should not do that because we should not expose the keys in there. And if we split it out, then we could have a Krell sign command, but then we would be essentially rewriting cosine. So I don't know if that's a lot of gain there.
So it sounds like more discussions needed to map out what this would look like.
Yeah. So I mean, at least I think, yeah, I mean, most of the points here are still open for discussion.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a post-it here and just cluster it together with this one, that this is something that needs to be investigated. For some reason, I have to take the out box to do this. But then at least we know that this is not a resolved question. It needs more info. Okay. So we'll see this again when we do the last activity, like, so then we can plot this on the sequence of tasks. Let's look at this one, ensuring the promoter signs the SBOMs too. So this is a quick win, according to the group. Any objections to that designation?
So I have a question related to scoping the task like this. So if we build the signing and promotion of SBOMs into the promoter, we would be potentially benefiting lots of other projects below, not just Kubernetes, which that's why I think it's a quick win. But then in order to make gains for the KEP, there's more work that we need to do that. It's not here just now. I don't know if that makes sense.
I don't think I followed 100%.
Yeah, so
this work will benefit a lot, but
yeah, would benefit a lot the moment we get it ready. Other projects mostly, I mean, potentially help others, and all of the other smaller Kubernetes projects would potentially benefit because they would get the chance of having one SBOMs attached to their files and two getting them promoted. But in order to make the tasks for the KEP make use of that feature, there's more work that we need to do. And
Uh,
since that, I mean, it's not here yet.
Right. So I think the matter is like what your perception of quick is, and we haven't decided that as a group. But if you think about it, it's not going to take a lot of time, not going to take a lot of alignment or research. Like it's something that you see a relatively clear path toward done. So if this task is like that, but it just doesn't exist, then it could still be a quick win because it's not going to be held up by a lot of
Okay.
other things.
Mhm.
Yeah. So do you think it belongs here still then under quick wins?
I don't think that it belongs there.
You don't think so?
No, yeah, I think it belongs there.
Oh, you do? Okay.
It does, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. We have this one then. Add signing step after staging ensures not access to secrets from release process and plan signer accountant access. Quick win?
I think that's the last line is I think I copied the posted note below. So let me-
Okay, so we'll make another one.
I think, yeah, that would be a quick win. For example, if we chose to go, so that signing step would use either the Krell sign subcommand, which is at the bottom, or either the vanilla cosign, which is at the top. Either way, it's a quick win, dependent on which solution we choose to use.
I think for the sake of time, maybe we don't go through all of these, but if you take a few seconds to just look at where they're placed, and if you think that any of these post-its are in the wrong place, let's call them out and we can talk about those. And again, this is for the whole group. Anybody here thinks that a post-it's in the wrong box, let's raise it now and talk about it. Or if you don't understand what something means, that's also fine.
So there's, for example, this one here.
Okay.
That one needs all of this here.
Oh, okay.
And it's not I mean, while that itself could be a quick and easy one to complete, it doesn't have any effects because it depends on the others. So that's
right. I'm gonna put all of these in a cluster, if that's okay.
Yeah, and
so just
maybe
move this.
handle them as one big one.
Okay. Anything else you see? Yeah, I guess you're still looking.
So these two, this one and that one need to be also completed at the same time.
Okay.
And would be on the major efforts square.
Right.
I think. Well,
I think
yeah,
that's a little bit neater. For this cluster, what would be the outcome? We'll write it above the cluster. Well, what do all of these things together produce?
Getting signed attestations. Yeah.
Okay.
this one is also part of the cluster.
Okay. Arno?
Yeah, can we have a document giving us a clear definition of attestation? Because I feel like there's a lack of understanding of what's the meaning of that.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
I would like to hear more about that as well. Been looking at it last weekend and it's not clear at all. I mean, the definition is clear, but there's no tooling out there that creates
Yeah.
one.
exactly. Think about it just as a document, signed document saying what you did in one of the steps. So you run staging and you pull these documents, you pull on these dependencies and produce these artifacts by doing this change. And you sign that, and then you get that document that you can go back and look to understand what happened during that stage. And it's just a JSON file that it's signed with a specific structure. But I will put it somewhere.
Yeah, maybe in the CAP itself, just that's a place where people are likely to be reading it and wonder what that means.
Yeah, I hope it's the right definition, the link I posted in the Zoom chat, because I was lost about attestation at some point. So I don't know if that's the right document, or we have another document clarifying the definition of attestation.
Oh, and yes, Matthias, it's based on the Intoro.
Okay, so if you have a document expressing what attestation mean, maybe in the context of cosign, that's going to be really helpful for everyone.
Okay, yeah. So the thing with this approach is that it's one that I still have to propose and in one of the meetings, and so that we are all in the same channel of kind of in the same level of understanding of the concepts and how it would work. So I'm not surprised that all of these things seem like random tasks that do not have any cohesion between one another.
Do you think we could add outcomes to these really quickly? Like, for example, like we just did here. I added this, by the way. This seemed like a quick win, which just a matter of adding some text to probably the CAP or someplace. But like with this, like what does this achieve?
So that would give us the GCP account to use as an identity. I don't know if that could be the outcome.
It gives it so that it would plan you signer account access so that.
Are you talking about a service account during the release process, a dedicated service account during the release process, or during the moment any project is running a job on staging?
Yeah, I mean, this is for
This is the
signing
same.
the files. So
Oh, signing the file, not the container images.
yeah, no, not the container images. So we need to, have a chat and discuss which identity we want to use. So reuse one of the existing ones, or create a new one for that. But this discussion needs to be in context of how we are going to sign things. So if we, depending on the rest of this.
Okay. So this requires a discussion like this one did, right? This planned center account.
Yeah. So,
okay.
For example, if
Let's put.
So this one here that I'm clustering with the pink post-it notes. Those can be.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Those can be clustered together with an outcome of getting the files in binaries and files signed. That's the main one.
Put this here. And then cluster these all together.
Yeah, so we should.
And, oh, I don't want that high. I think I see a duplicate here. This is the same as this. So I'm going to remove this.
Yeah.
And then this, going back here, we need to investigate the approach. It sounded like. Is that right?
Could be. I mean,
Okay.
then
Oh, it is, or
I mean, it's yeah. We need to have a discussion. I mean, the
Okay.
task is having that discussion. So
oh, okay.
yeah, it doesn't need previous discussion. It is the discussion
Okay.
in reaching a
Okay.
decision on that. Then these two, this and this here.
These two, the S
yeah.
bombs.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the outcome of those two would be getting S-bomb signed.
Getting S bomb sign. Okay. This one. Maybe we can wrap them up. I want to make sure we have enough time for the final activity, but we did attach outcomes to at least half of them, I think, so that's good. The last step is putting these items in order that they have to be done so that we walk out of here with a plan. And when we do this, let's think about, okay, like Adolfo said earlier, this has to be done for one of these other items to be done. So we would want to probably put this in milestone 1 or 2. So yeah, just map these out so that you have a work plan. Make them a little smaller, again, so that they fit. So like, for example, going over here, I said I would do this. Putting code here. So like if it belongs here, then you would drop it there.
So do we move the same nodes?
Yeah, you just push them over to the timeline.
So what about the ones that are clustered?
Well, I mean, if they're all code, then they're pretty much a bundle. Like with this one, it looks like there's a mixture of process
and also
and code.
Since they're chained one after the other.
But that's
so-
fine because it's really a code deliverable. So that's going to rule. And if it's the first milestone, then all of these other things would be part of that. You could just look at it as a package of work. But the code is first and foremost the driving facet that puts
So
that you
for
think about.
example, if I duplicate these two, for example, which are bound together, I would have those just as an example, because the others are kind of the same. I would have first adding signing capabilities, and then actually signing, because you have to have one for the other. But I don't know if that if breaking them apart breaks the outcome.
Yeah,
logic.
I mean, I think what you want to have is an increment of value. So if one needs the other to make any sense to the user, then you would keep them together. But if you can deliver one at a time, then you could split them up. Your outcomes would just be different. Do they need to go together to make any sense? Be useful?
I mean, I want them to make them as clear as possible. But I feel when we split them, they lose a little bit of meaning because you lose the overarching outcome. And then, but then you cannot do those at the same time. So I wanted also to reflect that what comes one comes after the other.
So we can reframe the outcomes for each one. If they can be done separately, but one must be done before the other, then it's fine. We can work async after this session and define what each one really represents.
Okay. But the goal is to delete them from the priority matrix or duplicate those.
Yeah, we've done that now. We've highlighted them as the appropriate color. And the last step is putting them in order. So for example, if this question needs to be resolved, I might put this first, or like the first milestone, because then it's resolved. You have enough time to resolve the question, and then when you want to start delivering it,
Okay. Yeah.
It's paced well.
Yeah. So the need to investigate post-it would be on the first milestone, and then.
Well, maybe they all are. Maybe this is a first milestone. I'm not sure, but if not, you could say need to investigate how to achieve this outcome, and then maybe milestone 2 is delivering on the outcome. It's really how you think it goes.
Yeah, if I were to place them, I would have need to investigate on the first one, and then probably combine the other two into a single post-it note, just saying it's either this or this, just to have one.
Okay, so we need to investigate how to achieve the outcome. The outcome of getting binaries and files signed. And then these 3 couldn't be together.
Yeah.
And then this one is
Yeah, I mean the outcome would probably be.
But this is just a task. We know what the outcome is because it's stated in the subsequent matching. Yes. And then you would put these here as code.
So maybe.
Actually, this is a question, so we'll put it here. It belongs there actually. And this one's a question too.
Okay. Then,
so it's risk questions blockers.
So one thing we need to communicate is how. So regarding how we would build the attestations and sign them and all of that. So maybe we need to have a first post-it. Yeah, just to either question or communicate those, because we need to be aligned on the effort if we're gonna go that way before we start implementing the remaining blue post-its.
And who is the audience?
Well, the release engineering team at large.
Okay. Okay, we have not quite a minute left. Can we get all of these plotted before we wrap up at hour? Oh.
This can be
If anybody needs to draw, just so you know what happens next, we'll take these steps, clarify anything that's ambiguous, like what's the outcome of something, Then we will, I'll just spin up a temporary spreadsheet for this information. If you want to own any of these tasks and help drive them or just help them, then you'll be asked to put your name next to the item, and then we will dump all of the spreadsheet contents into the kept tracking issue as in the description field so that we can track these tasks in a checklist form.
Putting this post-it note with those clustered together with those because they're kind of the same.
Okay.
And then
I will drop the notes by tomorrow in the SIG Release channel so you can see the follow-up.
And then the remaining ones would be after the communicate to Relish team how we would build the attestations.
Okay, so you got 3 more?
I don't know if we
We're
should.
almost there.
I mean, I don't know how useful it would be to start assigning them to milestones because we still have to discuss the first step. I don't know if we can just put them in the second one and
As you
then-
wish, yeah, whatever makes sense.
Okay, yeah, so we can get all of these together in the second one. And also the single post-it, the green one that's left would be part of
Mhm.
that.
Okay, so however. I think they go. We had 4 milestones for the dev RPM package builds. Some of those milestones were just writing docs. So just to give you a sense of how many milestones.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
for now,
might be a reasonable amount.
yeah, I mean, I think after discussing some of these items a little bit, and if we agree to go and pursue those,
Mhm.
we can get a clear sense of how we can deliver on them.
Okay. So I guess if they're currently questions, you can put them as questions.
Okay.
So if you're not sure the direction of any of them, yeah, store them here. And that's a tip off that we're not sure yet.
I mean, we have to complete those. It's just a proposal
Yeah,
on
I
the-
understand.
I mean, what I would do is just roadmap these, and then if we decide to change direction for some reason, we can simply replace those with a new approach. But
I mean, we can frame them as questions to be asked. But
Okay.
we should track them somehow so that we know that there are questions on the plate. So here, I'll move these out and
Okay.
get rid of these. So you have these 2 left and this one. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a quick question about how we basically do those meetings, because I don't see that every week. I just saw this one, but for the next week, I don't see that in the calendar. So I'm curious about how we do this, how we plan those meetings. This one and the
As-
one about system packages.
I sent a doodle out after a lot of notes to the effect on the SIG Release channel. Then people pick their availability. Then based on the availability, the invite went out and we had the meeting scheduled.
Yeah, but
And then
just,
Sasha sent
just
out
once.
the message
Yeah, but just
No,
once
twice.
because
twice. One
No.
per session. Oh.
so what I'm saying is, like, in the Kubernetes calendar, those meetings don't appear for the next weeks.
Right, because it's only dedicated to one. It's a one-shot deal. It's not going to be continuous.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. We'll do follow-ups in the community meetings, but these are just special to give people a chance to focus on just one topic. And yeah,
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. We're over time by 5 minutes and I want to finish so that we don't hold people up. So Adolfo, if you can just maybe asynchronously, we can figure out the rest of this offline, but it's important that we have these items plotted so that in some way, whatever way makes sense, so that we just don't lose them.
Yeah, I'm happy to
Okay.
chat more about them.
Okay. All right, we will end now. Thanks for staying over and see you later.